by introducing myself, and I'm not gonna mute anybody else as long as you guys can hear me. We don't hear any background noise, and you guys can mute yourself as you wish. My name is Kellen Coleman. Online, my profile, depending on where people see me, it could be Kellen Cash, Cash with a K. Media and social media, we've built our business off of it at Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. And we've also gone by another name of Top Notch Inc. Media Incorporated. Currently, we represent a few of the Black YouTubers, some people's favorite to hate. The biggest in the Black space is the African Diaspora channel, which has over 500 million views on one channel. We have another 44 million on another channel, and there's two other smaller channels as well. And the main channel, the African Diaspora News channel, has over 1 million subscribers. Social media is something that, I kind of grew up with a computer in the house. Even though my wife says I'm ancient, I said I still had a computer. I was one of the, I was one of the, the first generation to be able to, get on the whatever was out. But I remember the AOL disc. So we were talking, yeah. So when we're talking about social media and having our own platform, this topic really hit my heart because this is the space that for my business, we focus on a lot. And because I have other businesses as well, that we all need social media. Even in our healthcare businesses, we need social media presence. And it doesn't have to be huge, but we just need to find our tribe. Mm-hmm. The question, do we need our own social media? I'd be crazy to say, no, we need to stay on, the masses, the white people's, whatever you want to call it, social media. It would be crazy to come on, this network and say that and say, no, we just need to stay where we're at. I probably sound like an old president from the continent that was already paid off. As you see, my Cameroonian jersey, my wife is from Cameroon. My roots go to Cameroon, Nigeria, and Mali. And we have, investment in Cameroon. And so I really can't wait for Bia either to step down or die, either one. He's one of those leaders that I talk about. But with the social media, yes, we do need our own. The problem that we find is that our people who are making money online, it's going to be hard to move them without replacing the money. I know right now we have Black Junction TV. Black Junction TV is 100% Black owned. I know the owners for all of its, greatness, and it's come through a lot. It has not been supported financially, and that's what we're going to talk about. We can build something, but if we don't support it financially, it doesn't mean anything because it's hard to compete with Google, if not damn near impossible, because the way that they throw you, the algorithm throws you in the way back. Mm-hmm. So to say that, yes, we do have our own. There's been other things like Black Spot, I think it was called, but it's just difficult. And this is going to be, just me saying what we do have, what we can do, and then feel free, we can, have dialogue. But to do that, we have to support. Every YouTuber out there right now has some type of platform like patreon.com. I will use the African Diaspora as a example, and I'll also use Dynastamir Search for Uru as an example. With 1 million+ subscribers for the African Diaspora, there's on the best day 1,500 Patreon people who give $2 to $5, and some choose to give more. You only need to give $2 to be a member. There's also a Facebook membership and a YouTube membership. For the Patreon, which allows contributors to pay a monthly fee of $2 and up, however they choose, they get to see the content first. There's exclusive content and all that. I just say that for those who may not be familiar. And if I say something that's elementary, just tell me, hey, we already know that, and I will jump forward.
No, go for it, brother. You're doing great.
Okay, what we really need is for, and I'm just using the African diaspora because they are the most watched Black news network on YouTube, and that's YouTube saying that, not Black Enterprise, that sometimes can get that wrong, but that's more of a fraternal hookup, and I'll leave it at that. We work with all Black media that will work with us. We have 6 or 7 different contributors on that platform that we pay monthly, and we do that so smaller YouTubers can build up. So we're trying to build a network even over there, and having, even though it's on YouTube's platform, but that platform alone has special privilege in the YouTube space because of the relationship we have with YouTube. I'm right here in Seattle. I can go talk with Google. I can go talk with Microsoft. I can go talk with Facebook and all that. And so with those relationships that I had, I've been able to mesh and say, we need a different relationship with YouTube. And with that, the search for Uru, Dynas Demir's platform, this brother goes to Africa probably about every other month at least. And his platform, probably at best, last time I checked, had about 50 supporters at best. Now, some could say, oh, that's because he's not offering what others are offering. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's that we as a people don't support each other the way we should, the way we want to be supported. We all have had a project, I'm sure, out there where we've asked family to support us, and we're surprised that family won't buy our book, or family won't, buy our music. That's just kind of how it goes. But we're pushing. If we could get 3,000 people on the African Diaspora News Channel to contribute $2 and up, we actually wouldn't need YouTube's revenue, and we would say a lot more, that because YouTube, if you say too much, as it was said last week, they can block you off or demonetize you. We go through the demonetization. Many of the videos get demonetized, so that's why we need the money. If we had 3,000 solid supporters, we'd be like, forget that, and we could even build onto the team. So we have some of the tools. How do we do it ourselves? Is we create things like Black Junction, or we just support Black Junction financially, whether that be a business, an organization, or a government. I mean, a government could use an outlet like Black Junction to push whatever, issue they have, even if it's propaganda. Right here next to me, I have a server. I have my own server because I used to work for the company, and it's called Synology. And with the Synology server, it's a box about this big. This is what a lot of your government agencies use, so they don't have to, follow certain rules, and things are private. Synology is the best server company out there, private server company. And I say that not because we get along or that they're paying me anymore. It's because it's been tested, proven, and even their competition, and they're a Taiwanese company, even their competition, the people who support them have told me that personally. But a lot of government agencies use this, and what we need to do is look into having our own servers to have anything. If we don't have our own servers, we are then a slave. So let's say we got a Black Junction and we're doing it all ourselves, but now we're a slave to whoever server that we're on. So some people might be on Amazon's, which is called AWS. AWS, it's like taking, a hit of crack. I've never taken it, but they say it's addictive. I grew up in the 80s, so I saw it with my own eyes being in Oakland, California. So you're constantly going to have to pay Amazon money. And who's to say they can't take you off? If you were on Synology server, nobody can control what you're doing, how you're doing it. It is going to take money, though, to have your own Synology server. The cheapest server for Synology is about $150, and you don't have all the tools that you need. The $1,500 server, you probably don't necessarily need to start off with, but it's not a bad investment. Plus, you need someone who is certified in this software, because this is going to protect you in whatever's coming through. They can't kick you off. Synology has never worked. Even though they have government clients, and I know that for a fact, they have never worked with the government because their whole thing is privacy. So I say all of that to say we first need to understand the technology that we're demanding and asking for. And we have so many people coming out of the HBCUs who know this stuff. I mean, it's not like it's hard to find a company that knows how to use these servers. We used to take 2 computers and make servers when I went to Grambling to run our own thing. And it was just because we had a good mentor who showed us how. So with all that being said, yes, we do need our own social media. Yes, we have our own social media, and there's others out there who are doing it. They just need to be financed, and we really need the help of those who, have deep pockets, because in short, that's my thing, and I'll open it up if anyone has a question.
Right. Well, Kellen, thank you very much.
Yes, and I want to say, and then I'm just here to give my point of view and how influencers are already impacting the black space. Sometimes we call it Black YouTube, but the reason why things are taken down, especially if it's a violence on Facebook, on YouTube, you can see violence on all these platforms, but it's how the algorithms and everything picks up. Sometimes people are reporting these things. Sometimes it's, your own family members who don't want to see these things and saying this is gruesome. I know Facebook says they don't want to show violence on Facebook, and they, Facebook and YouTube really, they kind of pick and choose. And sometimes you have to take them to court, like Willie D did, to have justice, because the same thing that we can put on a 1 million+ YouTube channel, somebody with 50,000, they're not going to be able to keep it on. First, they'll demonetize it and won't let it be seen in the algorithm, and then they can take it off. I've known people to have their channel taken off for things that, it's just ridiculous. And you're like, wait, we did that. But because we make YouTube, Facebook so much money, and we have a thing, we have YouTube managers, and you have these different managers inside that they can kind of look out for you. That's not to say that, we have to, pump up one platform, but the point of the African Diaspora News Channel is to have other folks be at 1 million too. The creator of that he doesn't want to be on an island by himself, because he knows that's the person they take out first. So we're trying to create an island for all these content creators, and we work with so many. The difficult part is gathering the audience and what people want to see. When we have meetings like this talking about, things that could really help out the community, our own don't want to see it. There's a minority that want to be enriched, and that just might be human nature. But we also have to ask ourselves, what are we watching daily? Are we only watching violence coming from wherever? Are we watching something that can enrich us? Because I have on that channel over 100 interviews, and we probably do a lot more than that, of business owners coming on from different segments. This diversified game, even podcast that I do, I have an entrepreneur. I have the only Black woman who owns a NASCAR team. Less than 10,000 people listen to that interview. But if I put something where, I have someone like an artist or a rapper, that can go through the moon. And it's like that on everyone's platform. So let's ask us, during these times where everybody's watching more YouTube than ever,
being able to deliver more of a positive aspect of what's available.
What are we watching? Correct.
Right. I totally agree.
So any questions or comments, or how we can, have more YouTubers come together? I'm here, for that on the social media side, because the financial side is takes a different skill set. All I know is venture capital and angel investors and my own money, and I don't like vultures. And the angels are they don't really want to get behind us like we like. I will say this though, when it does come to money, there is money out there. You have to be willing to play their game. And personally, I'm at a place where I don't want to play their game. We
Mm-hmm.
want to do it
Mm-hmm.
on our own, and as big as we grow, that's fine, because we've
Mm-hmm.
had everybody
Without
offer it to.
limitation. Right.
Yeah, we've been offered millions of dollars, even at the African Diaspora News Channel, and
Mm-hmm.
we said no. And even I've had other businesses here in Seattle where they're like, "We'll give you X amount of dollars," and we've said no
Mm-hmm.
because it's not. They always want us to do something that's not natural,
Of course.
and yeah.
And that's kind of
So
what
so
happened to
yeah.
BET. BET eventually got whitewashed as well. So you can see how it changed over the years. With that being, you know, the number one competitor against MTV back in the day, is prime example. But we do have African governments that's a part of the ECOWAS nation that has offered to support platform for people in the diaspora to look at doing business in the continent and being able to help foster some of the big ideas that are coming out of America as far as what we're able to bring to the table. I can't say so much for other nations, the Caribbean islands and the South Americans, but I do know there are quite a few people in the diaspora that is looking at what Ambassador Adu and his finance minister was ready to put in place for us to get this investment fund program off and running. And that's a part of the jumpstart of the African Industrial Revolution, which the telecommunications part has a big major play into that, and especially when you come to getting platforms up that could aid into the campaign itself, that could help drive the campaign. And so I think we're coming together at a right time, and especially with a down market like this, it gives us that extra time to be able to come together as a collective and definitely start speaking out to the leader, President Adu, and I think Senegal is following right behind Ghana right now with getting these platforms up in place for the diaspora. And of course, last year with Mark the Year of Abode, Ghana generated a lot of money from the diaspora, and now they see the big picture where this could really ultimately lead to offering an alternative for Africans in the diaspora to really come to Africa to work and do other things to help
So,
propel us forward.
so yeah, I mean, it's very nice to hear about what the African Diaspora Channel is doing. That's really encouraging. I think there's still room for growth. Really looking forward to how we can collaborate. But that brings me to another question, which is, what is the African Diaspora Channel able to do towards the creation of like a social media platform for just our own, right? Like, how are you able to come in to assist in pushing that forward? Or is it going to have to be the other way around? Is it going to have to be a social media platform is developed and then contribute to the African Diaspora Channel? Or can it be vice versa?
Well, we are working on, and if people join the Patreon or the YouTube or the Facebook, or they can even go to the website and they can join, and there's other content that will never be shown on YouTube, even though we're using YouTube server. And it's a build up. The one thing about the creator of the channel, who I met when he had about 400,000 subscribers, is he is the media guy. He doesn't have all the pieces of the puzzle for everything. He's not the activist out on the streets, because he's creating the stories that are done on the streets. And so with that, we have so many contributors. Some are activists. Brother Derek Muhammad is a activist and contributes on the channel as much as he'd like and has time for. In a perfect world, for me being, someone who plays with businesses like we used to play with toys, I would love that. And there are things on the table, and it's always a money limitation, because we would need to hire certain people, to do certain things, and those people don't come cheap. I mean, the server that I talk about, you can buy the server, but then to keep it updated is, that's a $60,000 a month fee, possibly. I mean, I know how you can make it cheaper, but if you were to just go to someone and say, hey, I want you to keep this server up, that's the fee that they're going to say, this is what it's going to cost, and we're going to need this, we're going to need that. We can always build slow, but we would love to do things like that. And it's a push that I push at least every month to say, let's do more.
So yeah, I see what you mean, and I think your approach is a little bit gentle, and it makes sense. It's a business approach. I think it's a sensible approach for now, because you're not so much of an activist, so to speak. But I think there's been an awakening, right? And there's a movement now towards total independence. We know that the system exists. We know that this system wasn't built entirely for our kind. And what we're trying to do is actually, create a wake-up call for the masses that are actually waking up on their own, take advantage of that mass awakening, and actually build a system that is, might struggle in the beginning, but would eventually become self-sufficient. It's happening, right? While we can also still depend on servers for our content and all that, we do believe that there's a way that we can do a distribution, that we can do a distributed network, right? That can actually be self-sufficient. And if that system survives, you wouldn't need to host a server. Everybody in the network wouldn't need to host a server. Just maybe a couple of key locations will have a server, but it will be self-sufficient in the sense that it's going to be a closed system, and it's going to be responsible for its own advertising and all that stuff. There's actually value in numbers. It's going to be integrated into this whole social platform, this network platform that we're talking about here, which is going to be a closed system. It's not going to be like BET where everybody's invited. It's actually going to be for us.
Yeah, I mean that could happen too. I always the reason I say the server, in case they ever knock off, and you had said blockchain, and that would be awesome, is just what we have now, the technology that many people can just buy on Amazon, that my server can talk to my other server in Cameroon. And so if anybody came to run into this house and take this server, it would talk to the other one.
Put a black backup system in place.
The redundancy is crucial. And if we had everybody who had their own, they couldn't take us out, because we have seen during an adpocalypse how they knocked out many of YouTubers. And we've even seen outside of our community of Alex Jones, how they just wiped him off of everything.
Right.
And so we have to think that our time is coming, and in peace, prepare for war.
Right.
So it's a part of active warfare in order to survive in a hostile territory. Kellen, tell everybody about your experience with what's the gentleman's name that bought up the .coms, Byron Allen. A little bit about what he has been conversing with you, and about his experience and so forth with all of that.
Okay, and I know what part that you liked of that story, and I think this is something everybody should jump on. It was a few months ago at NATPE, which is the biggest TV conference that happens in this country. I got to talk with Byron Allen, and we were, and he was, of course, on panels and just talking to him privately. What he did of buying these TV channels, no other comedian has done. I mean, Kevin Hart has, tried to start his network, Dame Dash, as well. But we really have to look at, he mortgaged, he almost defaulted. Somebody has some background.
There's some feedback, little feedback.
Is it possible everyone could mute their phones or tab devices, please?
Sure.
And so Byron, if you don't know his history, buying all these things, and you can YouTube that and see him on different channels talking about how he bought these networks. But what I find even more interesting, or as interesting, is how he bought the domain names. And right now, what we were talking about were how .Africa is available. But as soon as .Africa became available, you couldn't buy anything in .Africa. JetBlue, Southwest, Bank of America, they all had it before you had a chance. And then if you had your own name, GoDaddy would tell you you cannot buy, even if it's your own name, your own company name, they say it's unavailable. There is a way around that through companies. It's not something that you can just quickly, do, because you almost sometimes we had to call and find out who would sell this. And so Byron Allen bought all these domain names and made money, not just on the networks, but the if you can mute, I don't know if that person can even hear us, whoever that is, but
can you
the networks,
mute him here? I think the number will start with 18 something.
Okay, to me, the TV stations are all online. That's where we're going. And my company, we talked with the Viacom 15, 20 years ago about where TV was going. If we know where TV and media is going, we can then, I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna
Hey, Carl, I'll give you a second here. Hey, any listeners, if you could please mute your mic while Colin is speaking, and then if you have something to say in the conversation, then you can unmute your device. So for meanwhile, just mute your device so that way we don't have any distortion in the background.
Yeah, I muted them for the ones that I couldn't see, and I'll unmute them later. But the technology really starts with us, because if we own the domain names and the content, because even with that, we could start a network, and you can have your own network where you can say what you want to say on your website. Really, what's going to happen, and it's already happening, is we have to know the difference between what YouTube does and the subscription base, the transactional based, the advertisement based. And I can go, you can YouTube and find out the difference, but we're going to have to go to a subscription base until the advertisers will deal with us. Because right now, they won't deal with us in this country. We just pitched a TV show, a black TV show in the UK. They don't have a black TV show. The only black thing that they cater to is like BBC, I think One Extra or something like that. So our people are going to have to support. And the difficult part in that is, if Netflix is $7 and let's say Damon Dash is asking for $12, you're going to compare what Netflix is doing compared to what Damon Dash is doing. And I'm not saying, Dame Dash is going to have as much content, but we need a Dame Dash to connect with the YouTubers, to connect with a Black Junction. So it's like an all-in-one pass. Government does it all the time. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce in Seattle. With my chamber, I get another membership to a different group that I would have never known about. And we just have to have that type of connection, because they're giving me ad dollars and how to spread that. That's kind of creative, and we have to know each other. Personally, I reach out to everyone. I've never been able to reach out to a Dame Dash, but bigger than a Dame Dash, I'd like to reach out to an African TV network. And we're pushing just now for Kenya. We just got a meeting through another company to say, hey, we want to be on TV in Kenya. I've tried it in Malawi. People say, no, we're only concerned what goes on in Malawi. Well, Mulibonji, okay, we have nothing else to talk to about, because you don't understand where TV is going. You see where it's at, but you don't understand the inner workings of where it's going. And so with that said, we just need to, if you know somebody and we can connect, we can make it work money-wise. Money should be the least of our our worries if we work together. And I'll be quiet.
Imani, you have anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you. I think he went in deep. I'm not good on social media things. The only thing I'm good on is what I saw on YouTube or on TV, on news, and I don't really know the mechanic behind it. So I'm not good on that. But I want to ask him. I have prepared a couple questions for him. And bring them together. The first question is, what have you done for Africa and Africans in general? When I say Africa again, remember I mean anyone who's Black. What have you done for Black community or Africans?
Is that towards me?
Yes, you are our special guest today.
Okay, yeah.
This is yours.
Well, what I have done, personally, I'm not satisfied. I'd have to think. One of my proudest moments of recent is bringing 30 people to Kenya, and that was a joint effort. But we brought 30 people to Kenya because of, and the way we did it was we went to Ethiopia the year before. Last year, when we brought the 30 people, I said my client doesn't have the money to keep going to Africa. Plus his audience wants to go with him. When I read the emails, that's we want to go. So we partnered with a Black-owned tour company, and we did something that my company had did in government contracting, where if we bring so many people, we can then bring the media house and make a documentary out of this and bring 30. We brought 30 people to Kenya, and we had 30, I'll say 29 Black Americans, 28 Black Americans, one from the UK and one Mzungu who actually came. He didn't even know what he was coming on. He was just coming with his friends, and I almost think they set him up. But that was crucial because you need to go see Africa, and they got to see it. Now, they saw 5-star Africa, staying at the Kempinski and staying at the villa in Mombasa, but that was probably like the proudest moment. When I go to a country, I want to know some of the language beforehand as much as I can, and I also want to leave something there. So there's some people in Kenya and Cameroon, we're working on things where, some things are medical, and they are medical because my wife is a physician. And being from Cameroon, her thing was I always have to give back. So it doesn't take a lot to create a clinic in Cameroon, but you have to have the right people. So we're now found the right people, and how we're doing that is we're finding partnerships. If we put all the money in, we don't know what's going to happen. But if I make a nurse a partner in Cameroon or any country, they're going to have more stake, and there's plenty of money to share.
By the way, before he goes away, or before he goes on, when he says Mzungu, for those who do not know, it means European. That's Swahili word. Mzungu means Europeans or white.
Can I give a follow-up question to what Imani said, which is when you're saying we, because I hear you saying a lot of we, and also I've seen that you've posted this link to the African Diaspora News org on YouTube. Actually, I'm a member of that. I'm actually a patron of Brother Phil. So when you say we, are you speaking on behalf of the African Diaspora, or are you talking about another we entirely?
I am talking about we as a people, because none of us do this alone. I have my own team members. And for Phil, I'm the business manager over there. So anything business related, even interviews, it goes through us. It goes through me or somebody on my team. So that's the we that I'm talking about.
That's interesting that you're the business manager for the African Diaspora. That's great. That's great. Congratulations. That man is doing a lot of good work there. But yeah, I think I agree that we definitely need to take this that far. I have one question. I don't know if Imani is done. I'll probably ask my question after he's done. Go ahead, Imani.
Yes, my second question is, what are you planning for our community, Black people community?
Well, in short, we're planning to make it available to those who want to go to the continent and find out where they're going to be treated best, where they best fit in. If we're honest, there's going to be people who just visit, and that's fine. And there's going to be people who want to relocate. But to me, if you want to relocate, what we don't want is you to be broke and relocate. You need to be able to set up a business and not be looking for a job. One of my friends in Cameroon, Churchill, he is the Indeed.com in Africa. And that's what Forbes and the BBC says. You can go, he's the #1 job agent in Africa. That's his company is funded by a Canadian VC. And so I want Black Americans to go there and say, whatever my skill set, whether I was a plumber or whether I was, Wall Street executive, whatever, that they can set up a business there that's beneficial. We don't want a bunch of, Black people coming back to the Africa being colonizers and taking advantage of the people just because you have, $2. So my thing is, it's a righteous push in finding the right people. There'll be a time where it's a mass exodus. We know that. There'll be a time where folks will be running. There's going to be a time the Americans are running to Mexico, trying to jump over that wall that they're building. But we want to set up right now what we can set up. And there's plenty of Made in Africa project by RJ. They have a I'm sorry, I'm trying to mute people at the same time. Made in Africa project. There's so many different Africa projects that these certain YouTubers are highlighting that people can get in. There was just a project this week that for $200 you could buy a plot of land in Nigeria for $200. And they had over, I think it was 15 people, as far as I saw on the stream, jump on that. And I'm part of that group right now that can see what's going on. And it's been vetted by Nigerians and in America and abroad. The woman running it is in the UK, right. But she's a Nigerian. But these are some of the plans. We need to set up business. We need to be able to have those businesses have us make a living on the continent, so we're not trying to, do a GoFundMe while in Africa saying support my life.
Now, speaking of that, Brother Collins, I know you had mentioned the fact that you've been working with some folks there in Nigeria, so we would definitely need to collaborate a little bit, because I am very close friends to the king of Imo region, which is Victor Agbana, and Victor currently right now has been looking to develop that region as an overall initiative plan to get more people here in the diaspora interested in doing business in that region. So yeah, let's talk about that further at some point in time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all this information, I could send 100 links, or I could put something together and say, these are some of the people that we're doing business with, and you can disperse them through the whole group at once. None of this is a secret. If it was, I wouldn't even talk about it, because that type of business is 419, and that type of game we ain't playing.
And that falls definitely in line with First Lady Ambassador Arikan, her goals and initiative to develop the Rwanda movement and initiative over on the mother continent too. So yeah, very well. That's coming in at definitely at a right time.
I mean, I would definitely say that it's a good initiative. For me, not a pessimist by any means, but I'm trying to consider the weight of what we're going through, and I'm saying, it's a little bit too early, almost like saying the same thing about, buying servers and all that. It's good. It's good for today, probably the only thing we can do. So it's good that some people are doing it. We really encourage them, and we're glad that they're doing it. Probably they're going to be our predecessors. But what I'm saying is, it's almost like it's too early, because thinking about, if you remember the old Oklahoma Wall Street situation, we're inside a system that doesn't necessarily want us to, be successful, whether it's here or back home in the motherland. So that has to be remembered as part of the equation. Otherwise, we're just going to recreate the wheel that was destroyed in the recent past. So yeah, definitely buying land is going to be part of the resources within the network, the new network. Buying land is going to be one of it. Self-sustainability is also going to be one of the main key components of the new network. So it's going to be part of it. So my question, I know you don't have to answer right now because I know a lot of people are still asking questions, but it's going to be in this form. Like, are you able to connect the tech world together? Because the African tech world needs to come together at first. So you got some following. You got some following. Everybody, a couple of people here have got some great following. Brother Raz, everybody. Are we able to actually connect our tech world? It's actually ours right now, but it's disaggregated. We need to consolidate our tech world. It's like consolidating our intelligence. Our tech intelligence is very important. Finance is also going to be important, but tech is one of the most important ones right now because our resources are being used on a global scale, not really being respected the same way they're being used, but they're definitely being utilized on a global scale. We want to be able to tap into that a little bit as much as possible without distracting them from what they're doing. But from your following, start thinking about it. Are you able to connect that tech base that you have to other tech bases that are in other places to bring some good stuff for us?
We definitely are, because YouTube is a powerful tool. I think for me, I have I'm a dreamer, and in the dream I want to put it on paper and write the vision down and make it plain. And I want to, as your name reference, should I give praise? I got it right. I want to give praise to what the YouTubers who all started from, their house and just talking, but we could connect it very easily, but they need to see the value and have the funds to be able to go to the conferences like Afro Tech that happens in Oakland. Now that's not, I say that all the time. Hey, you guys, let's go to CES. That's going to be, if they do it right, that's going to be, $2,500 and up for them to go get the flight, the hotel, eat. If they have a camera person, so they show it in a certain way that people are used to seeing it. We represent not just Black YouTubers. So I know the difference. And I know the difference between doing Black content and representing somebody like Lovely T, who, gets 100,000 videos on her videos, every video she does, talking about gossip. But her news channel doesn't get the same love. So to her, she's like, hold on, I have kids, I have a family. Am I going to worry about this news channel and be, vilified by people and have a stalker, which she does, which the FBI has never done much about. And I've talked to them about that. Am I going to focus on the news, or am I going to focus on this celebrity gossip that is going to get me, my money? And that's a decision the influencers have to make. But Afro Tech has been there. CES, South by Southwest. It's not difficult to get these people. If they even don't get on stage, we can rush like a Delta. We can knock down the door and get on stage, because we can have the following show up and film and say, look, we're trying to be a part of this. Even this was the first year that a Black YouTuber was going to NABJ. And now that's going to be virtual, so it's not going to be the same effect and they're not going to go. But NABJ is something that we need to be allowed on these stages. If I'm being very clear, when I call certain Black media that's been sometimes bought and paid for, they do not want to even hear what I'm talking about. They're like, nah, that's too Black for us, because they have white advertisers. They don't want to piss them off. Right. They don't want to get that money, they don't want to get that money ripped away from them. So it's just the challenge of having the funds to do everything. Because I can spend, for Synology, I can spend over $500,000 in a day, easy. If I have the funding, that's easy to do. And to have the impact, because CES is expensive. You could say, oh, we want a booth at CES, but you'd have to have the money to buy a booth. It's a crazy, if no one knows what CES is, it's the Consumer Electronics Show. It happens every year in Vegas. It also happens outside of this country, but most people only know about the one that's
Yeah, I think this is going to be short. I think one of the things that we probably need to quickly do is identify, what currently is, in existence. We really don't want to reinvent the wheel. As much as we want to be independent, we also want to take advantage of some of the work that our brothers are doing. So one of the things that we need to start thinking about, I need to start thinking about is, how to research into some of these names that you're calling, how to be able to identify which ones think that some groups are too black and which ones are more liberal and stuff like that. So you said CES, South by Southwest, NABJs. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, and we also don't want to approach the wrong group for the wrong reason. So,
But I think
education is key.
Right, it is. And I think, like you say, exchanging and sharing information along that level, and also looking to elevate it to getting on the continent itself to exchange this information with our brothers and sisters who may already have platforms in place on the continent itself. So as we are looking to develop a electronic or IT platform that could be able to host a wide variety of telecommunication skill sets, ranging from video to doing television shows, you name it, even in getting into the IT side of it, where the actual network itself could actually broadcast similar to how Google is set up to take advantage of information exchange to a platform like that. But not reinventing the wheel itself, but just taking what we see that's already in place and being able to modify that to be able to make that work for the benefit of African people. And that's kind of what the Chinese have been great at doing. The Chinese were not always in the position that they are in now. And one of the concepts that they utilized was to bring in outside technology and kind of break that down and see how it operates themselves, and then kind of and then morph it to be able to be of use to them. So they no longer, it's almost like if you want to build a car yourself, you bring in your competition's car, you break it down, you see what it consists of, the components and everything that exists, and then you re-put it back together and say, put your spin on it, and then you call it yours. And I think that's the direction that we're trying to lean towards with all of this telecommunications infrastructure part. And so the vital thing was the education piece, and also getting connected with our brothers and sisters on the continent who are already doing this as well.
Right.
And very important, just real quick, for those who are doing it on the continent, I've worked and represented Dr. Mumbe when she did her first tour here, and I know Wodamaya. And the thing about, those are the two biggest who out there doing what we're talking about on social justice, but Dr. Mumbe's house, or place being raided, who is to protect these people? Protect them. And also, you don't have to agree with everything that they say, but the protection and the real support, because every other African YouTuber is doing beauty or music. I love the real estate guys. Tao does real estate, and I love what he does. But we also have to tell our people we need more than beauty. You don't have to, beauty and music. I don't care what you look like with blush. Personally, I want your curls and and I want you natural. That's me. But we have to support those few that are doing it, because there's very few who are talking like this. Now, African Tigress, she's also another one who, she brings up these social issues, but we just have to watch out for one another and support as much as we can. And sometimes that support is financial, and sometimes it's in a skill or something that we have to offer, like old equipment. We have Douglas out in Uganda who just started bringing us content. He doesn't even have his own camera. And we need that, because people won't watch unless it's at a certain caliber, and YouTube won't push it up in the algorithm. But that brother did over, I think, 8,000 views in less than 4 or 5 hours, and all he had was a friend's camera that he had to walk to during this quarantine time all the way in Uganda. So if people have equipment, I've sent equipment to Africa, it's a headache. It's a headache because once you send it, then they have to, you know, in many places bribe someone to get it out. But we just have to say, who has an extra camera at home that they're not using? And
well, brother, next time you get ready to ship something, you got to look up Brother Eugene. That's my specialty right there, import exporting. I've been doing it for over 30 years, and I'm a licensed freight forwarder. So, Brother Colin, we're very proud of you, and you and Phil, you guys have been doing a great job over the last few years. And I'm going to yield the floor. I think Imani have a few more questions to ask you as well. Go ahead, Brother Imani.
Yeah, so real quick, just before Brother Imani, so Nov said if you can leave your name, the name of your company and your contact for the international shipping in the message chat, that would probably help. Or we can share it, Brother Imani can share it to the rest of the team later on. But I wanted to quickly just send a response to that other question about, you know, some of us that are actually doing it out there. There's some of us that are actually going mainstream. We can't avoid that, right? That's just the nature of the world. We're social beings by nature, so that definitely has to continue. We have to somehow find a way to support and continue to support the way we're doing. But the threats that we're experiencing, the whole caution, the whole control that we're trying to break away from is this definitely speaks to why it's also important to have a very, very black group also. And that leads to my second question, which is this is actually to Brother Kellen, Brother Coleman. So are you able, so I guess I will be speaking, this probably will be going to the African Diaspora channel, which is, are you able to, channel, your followership also into a clandestine group? Are you able to speak about a clandestine group, a clandestine African group that is starting to be developed? If you have the opportunity to know about this kind of a group, this kind of, let's say there's a blockchain out there that is totally clandestine, is it something that you would be able to, I guess, wager your content around talking about that kind of group, encouraging people to support that kind of group, like a blockchain group? Because I know that there's actually something happening right now in the world. We're trying to jump in, right? We're trying to jump in the front. I heard the brother say about China the other time. China was very slow. I'm saying we jump in and taking the bat right there in the front, because we got people that are actually advancing this course for other companies on the global scale. We know some of this, but it's definitely going to be difficult. But the only way to go around it is just to copycat. We can't really start a whole, we can't reinvent the wheel. So we're trying to jump in the front. And I think there's been a blockchain technology recently developed that allows you to, for example, sell your products. So if a sister releases, let's say, a music album, she can sell it on a blockchain without going through any market or anything. But the network in that blockchain will be the only ones that have access to that kind of resource. So that's commerce right there. Commerce is possible in a blockchain environment. So, are you able to channel your followership to start going in that direction? Like, say, join this group. This is a new group that's developing right now. It's actually on a blockchain. It's secure. It's not open to the world. It's really strict and all that, but it's African based and all that. Are you able to speak on that?
We could definitely highlight that, and how we speak on it is having that person come on. Maybe that person comes on once, maybe they find a lane where they're a contributor, because there's only so much you can say about a blockchain. I'd love to have a link to that one in particular you're talking about. Even with the crypto, when Arikan said he was going to come out with crypto, I'm the one, I have a team member who was working with them, and I said, hey, give us info. And they wanted to come on and talk about it, not Arikan himself, but I said, but where's the white paper so we can read and we can then tell our audience what this is? Because, a lot of times we feel we gave money to a platform and personally we didn't benefit. So we say, oh, this was another scam. So we can definitely push that. And with the blockchain, there's so many different options that excite me. with that, I'd love to be able to, see more about, because I've seen different ones. I know Dynasty Mir has had people talking about blockchains. There's been other black YouTubers that have talked about, the blockchains and the first black blockchain. And I don't want to debate, who was the first or if it's ever happened, but we definitely would be open to that. It's just, how do we, we can put it out. If the masses don't watch it, that's not a problem, because one person has to watch it that can change something. But for my influencers, they're taking their time out. So I need to know what this is. And that's why I have behind me this podcast, is because I have them on as a guest on my show first, so I can figure out which influencer this is going to be best for. It's a vetting process that I have, so I don't have to talk to, plus I used to do radio and I don't mind talking. I actually probably don't, I probably don't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I get you. I really appreciate your response on that. I really got all that I wanted to get from that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so definitely right now we're definitely still thinking about something as influential as the Satoshi Nakamoto model. But yeah, we can definitely find a way to put a face on that, so it's not as secretive, because people really want to know what they're getting into. So I see your point on that, and we'll work on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Brother Collins, I think with the current platform that you have, also I would say, probably be a good thing is to maybe advertise. I know we have a lot of brothers and sisters out here that have black business that they would like to advertise on the network. So that's something that maybe you and Phil can to kind of discuss. And if the price is kept to, I would say a certain, affordable pricing where they can advertise on slot time, that's definitely a good way to raise money for the platform itself.
Yeah, advertisement on YouTube, and this is another reason why, to answer what this whole thing is about, is why we need our own, because advertisement on YouTube can be tricky. And why is it so expensive? Because YouTube does that deliberately. We've had it where I ran a special one time, $100 special. I had maybe 2-3 people sign up, but when the going rate, which is for a platform, is no less than $1,500, we've done it for cheaper. But advertisement is something we can work out, because if it's not on the YouTube platform, it could be on other platforms that were, whether it be the Facebooks. Facebook is a lot more lenient the way we can do things. Instagram, we do Instagram posts. But I just throw this out here so people know, when you reach out to influencers, there are influencers, and the African diaspora is not one of them, but there are influencers that for every post they get, if they get 100,000 views regularly, that's $2,500. So that they need to replace that income, because if they get caught not declaring that income, they could have their channel striked or taken down. So they're always thinking about, how can advertising be different? I would love for us to be fully funded, so we could have more advertisers come on, because we know we have to run, those advertisements over and over again. It can't just be a one-off. But I'll tell you this, the Chinese companies that call to have the women do the hair, those people will sign up. They will sign up for hair every week if you allow them, because they're making their money back on hair, which says a lot about us. That we're buying the hair as soon as we see our favorite influencer talk about it. And $2,500 is the start on something like that. So, I'm open to take ideas. And if people say, hell, I just want to be on the website, or I want to be in the Patreon members only, which is about, like I say, $1,200 to no more than $1,500. And that was during when we said we're not going to air any more content, because YouTube is taking the money down and not paying any YouTuber, whether they're white, black, or in between. So I just throw that out there about advertising, because I don't want people to send me stuff and say, oh, what are you talking about? I may not remember every single name on here. I have a good memory, but if I give you, hey, this is what the rate is, tell me what your budget is so I can find out a way that it can be most effective. Because I want you to come back again and again and again, because honestly, I need to be able to make my client money, and you know, that's my job.
Yeah, because I think like that, yeah, just being able to market and sell advertising, you know, 30 to 60-minute spot advertisement for a business or a service, that could definitely generate a lot of money for the developing that network and the platform overall, you know, long term. But that's just a small part of you know, what I was thinking myself. Brother Monty, I know it's getting close to that time.